When you visit a website, you see articles, images, maybe some prices. But what you don't see is the raw data, the kind of digital blueprint holding it all together. And that blueprint, it's there on almost every single page on the web. Just wait. So what if you could grab that blueprint? Not just from one page, but from thousands or even millions of pages all at once. Well, that's not science fiction. That is the incredible power of web scraping, and it's exactly what we're going to unlock today. And to guide us on this little adventure, let's take a cue from the pangolin. With its powerful claws, this amazing creature just digs right past the surface to uncover what's hidden. In that same spirit, we're about to dig past the slick surface of websites to find the valuable data buried in the code. And, it really can feel like a kind of magic. As the author Ryan Mitchell put it, web scraping is like wizardry. It's a skill that lets you see and actually harness the web in a totally new way. All right, let's start the adventure. First things first, what is this wizardry of web scraping really? To put it simply, web scraping is when you use an automated program to go to a website, grab all its underlying data, and then pull out just the specific pieces of information you need. The key words here are automated and scale. We're talking about collecting information far beyond what any human could ever do by just clicking and copying. Oh, and you've definitely seen the results of this, even if you didn't know what it was called. Every time you use a site like Kayak or Google Flights to find the cheapest ticket, or a price comparison tool to get the best deal on a new gadget, you are using a service powered by scraping. It's even used for amazing art projects like We Feel Fine, which scraped millions of blog posts to visualize the world's emotions. So how does this wizardry actually work? Let's pop the hood and see what's going on.
It's actually a pretty simple three-step dance. First, your program sends a request to a website server asking for a page. Second, the server gets that request and sends back the page's raw code, the HTML. And third, your scraper gets that code and parses it, which is just a fancy way of saying it sifts through all that digital noise to find and collect the specific data you told it to look for. Request, receive, parse. That's it.
And right there, that's the huge difference between a web browser and a web scraper. Your browser's whole job is to display data, to turn all that code into a pretty web page you can look at. But a scraper, its goal is to collect data. It totally ignores the visuals, dives straight into the raw code, and yanks out specific info. And it can do this for millions of pages at a time. Of course, no great quest is without its obstacles. And in the world of scraping, you have to face some pretty tricky digital dragons. The first dragon you're going to face is that the web is, well, it's messy. As a person, your eyes just instantly find the product name and the price, right? But a scraper sees a jungle of code, all these nested tables and divs and spans. The real challenge is programming it to find the signal, like that $15 price tag inside all of that noisy code. And believe me, the dragons get smarter. Some websites use JavaScript to load content, which means the data you want isn't even in the initial code. Others hide information behind login pages. And then you have the toughest dragons of all, websites that are actively trying to detect and block scrapers. It becomes this constant cat and mouse game. But hey, for every dragon, a hero forges a new sword. To deal with modern challenges like JavaScript, scrapers use incredibly powerful tools like Selenium. What it does is basically pilot a headless browser. That's a browser with no visual interface that can run all the scripts, fill out login forms, and see the website exactly as a human would. It makes even the most dynamic, hidden content totally accessible. Okay, now we've reached the most important part of our journey. This kind of power comes with a huge amount of responsibility. So let's carefully navigate the legal and ethical minefield. The legal landscape for this stuff has been evolving for decades, shaped by some major court battles. It really kicked off around the year 2000 with eBay versus Bidder's Edge. That case introduced this idea that scraping a site too aggressively could be a form of digital trespass. Then in 2006, a case involving Google reinforced the importance of copyright. But the big one came around 2010 with the Oppenheimer case, which really tested whether scraping could be considered a crime. The final verdict there, in 2014, was a landmark. It established that just accessing publicly available data is not a crime. So, what is this trespass to chattels thing?
It sounds super old and complicated, right? But in the digital world, it's pretty simple. It basically applies to servers. If your scraper makes so many requests that it slows down a website, or worse, forces the owner to spend money on more powerful servers, you could be seen as interfering with their property and causing financial harm.
And to put that into perspective, in that eBay case, the scraper Bidder's Edge was hitting eBay servers 100,000 times a day. That ended up being over 1.5% of eBay's entire daily traffic. See, that's the kind of scale that can definitely be argued as causing harm. But on the other side of the coin, you have this quote from the Auernheimer appeal. And this is a huge deal. The court made it clear if data is public, just looking at it isn't unauthorized access. It's not hacking. So the real dividing line is between aggressively hammering a server versus simply collecting data that a company has already chosen to make public.
So where do you even start? With the robots.txt file. Think of it like a website's public welcome mat for all automated bots. It's just a simple text file with a set of rules telling scrapers like yours which parts of the site are okay to visit and which areas are off limits. Any responsible scraper checks robots.txt first, period.
And all of this brings us to the final lesson, the final stage of our journey, becoming a wise scraper, someone who knows how to combine this incredible power with a strong sense of responsibility.
So here it is, the wise scrapers checklist. First, read the rules. Always check robots.txt and the site's terms of service. Second, be gentle. Don't hammer the server. Add delays between your requests. Give it room to breathe. Third, identify yourself. Don't try to hide. Use clear headers in your requests so the webmasters know who's visiting. Fourth, respect copyright. Gathering factual data is one thing, but republishing creative stuff like articles or photos is a big no-no. And finally, the golden rule. Add value. Don't just be a parasite. Use the data you collect to create something new, something insightful, something that wasn't there before. So there you have it. This power to collect the web's hidden data is truly transformative. It's a tool for art, for journalism, for science, for innovation. It's now yours to understand. The only question that's left is, how should it be used?